In this video, I'm going to walk you through how to search for cybersecurity jobs on LinkedIn. I've gotten several requests from more entry-level people wondering, like, how do I search for a job and how do I look at a job description to figure out like what they're actually looking for and if I should even apply for those jobs. So this video is going to be focused on the entry-level audience. If you're somebody that's experienced in the industry already, you'll probably still find it helpful, but a lot of it might be information you already know. Before we jump over to LinkedIn, I want to talk about cybersn.com. They have a listing of 45 cybersecurity roles that they've researched, put together some basic information about the salaries, some of the things you might be doing in the job. And then the other benefit to you is they have a listing of similar job titles that match with that particular role. So as you're searching on LinkedIn or Indeed or any other job board, these can be helpful to try to figure out what is the job title the company actually using to post their job that's open. It can really, really help you out. So we're not going to dive into cybersn.com, but just go through that. There's no sponsorship or affiliation that I have with them aside from knowing one of the founders, but that's it. So there's no incentive for me to send you over there. It's just really to help you out in your job search. So let's jump right over to LinkedIn. Once you log into LinkedIn, just go to the jobs tab here at the top, or if you're on your phone, it might be on the side. And then essentially you're just going to search for the job titles. Now, we're going to focus on just like GRC analyst, privacy compliance analyst, something like that, where you don't necessarily need a lot of technical skills going in. You can also search for SOC analyst, etc. But just understand a lot of those are going to probably require a certification like Security Plus from CompTIA, and they're also going to usually require you to have some type of hands-on technical skills, and you can show that through different labs and whatnot. But we're going to focus on kind of a broader scope here, where if you're not a technical person or you don't consider yourself really technical, you still might be able to get one of these types of privacy compliance GRC jobs. So we're just going to search for GRC analyst, and I'm not going to put a city here. I'm just going to see what pulls up here in the US. So some of these things don't even apply, like product concierge manager. This looks like a project management role probably. But you see down here, GRC analysts over at Tesla, they probably want experience, even though they say entry level here. But let's just take a look at this particular job opening and kind of see, like, what are they actually looking for? So you see right here, they're looking for a minimum degree in cybersecurity or equivalent. A degree is not usually required. They just kind of they have to put some kind of barrier in place. Now they're calling this an entry level role, and I was suspicious on that because it's Tesla, so it's a larger company. And look right here, 5 years experience in cybersecurity or a IT compliance role. Now, this one probably is not something that you should apply to as a junior level person, just because Tesla probably is pretty firm in their requirements here. However, it doesn't mean you shouldn't apply. Like you still can apply for it. I'm not telling you not to. Just understand that you may not get a call back for an interview simply because you don't have their minimums here. But let's just talk about this job description and some of the key things in here. Right here, they're telling you some of the frameworks you need to be familiar with. So if you have no experience whatsoever, go look at these different frameworks. So COBIT, ITIL, and then NIST cybersecurity framework. Those are a couple things you can go look at right now. And then you can also Google search like examples of those. You know, how do I apply this? And then what you can do from there is build projects around that. So let's say you find in a case study out there around a hospital that used NIST cybersecurity framework to help secure their data better. You can then create a fictitious hospital, so a fake hospital, use that as an example, and show how you would walk through helping that organization secure themselves better. That right there, that little project right there, can help differentiate you from everybody else, right? They could probably get, especially with Tesla, there's probably going to be thousands of resumes that come through for this job. But if you've got projects you can show, maybe because you don't have experience and you show a project, you might get the interview. You might get called for an interview. Some other things here are knowledge and working with identity access management. So that's pretty broad. I don't know exactly what they're looking for. So you might have experience with SailPoint. You might just be using identity access management native tools like Cloud Identity, for example, and Google Cloud. So there's a number of ways to get that experience because they don't really list exactly what they're looking for. So you could just do some free labs. You can sign up for a free Google Cloud account and use, create some user accounts and manage access for like service accounts, things like that. And you can Google search or find videos on how to do that on YouTube. There's quite a few out there. But you could do something like that to get that experience. Experience with operational audit. So again, this one's for more experience, but it does have some good data in here to take a look at. Some of the things that are soft skills, right? Managing cross-functional relationships. So can you actually work with others? Can you manage a project and the team communication between teams on a project? And if you're like somebody in school right now, or if you've worked like fast food job or at a restaurant or whatever, it's not cyber related or technical related. Just figure out an example from your actual life that you've already done, where you could say, hey, here's how I applied this communication in the real world, with what I'm doing now. In school, it could be with a project where you worked with other students. In the real world and working a job, it could be working with different teams or even just different individuals on a team. So let's just look at some other GRC analyst jobs. I don't know what this product concierge manager is. I guess we'll take a look at that one too, see if that's even relevant. Okay, so this one is looking at, you need to have a high trust certification, but it looks like they give you 6 months. So you don't have to have that going in. It doesn't look like. You just need to get that within 6 months, which is totally fine. You do need, again, they list out the framework. So that's something to keep in mind for like GRC analyst, compliance analyst, privacy analyst, any of those types of jobs you might be able to get really entry level. Look at the frameworks they're using. What are they actually having to do? That usually also tells you their client base. So they've got some public sector U.S. clients, I can tell right now, because they're using FedRAMP is one of the things here. So here they really don't tell you. Yeah. So requirements, I mean, technical writing skills, you can take a course on like Udemy or something and get those up. There might even be courses on LinkedIn Learning. Google has one for developers out there. But again, it's just writing skills, really, and then just translating that information. Audit language, yeah. So interpersonal relations. So again, can you work with others? From different business units, basically, do you play nice with others? Can you communicate with others, or are you like too technical? So really, you need to be able to break down technical concepts, if you are very technical, into things that anyone else would understand. And so the way I usually tell people to do this, or suggest they do it, is try to, if you have a kid, if it's a brother or sister or a neighbor's kid or something, if they're a kid, try to explain something to them and use something they care about, which is usually like candy, cake, sweets. Kids care about good tasting stuff. So try to explain it using something they actually care about, or a video game they care about, or something like that. And if you could do that, then you have this skill set, right? You have this skill set of being able to work in different teams and communicate that information. This one looks like you're also doing spreadsheets. So really someone that's analytical. These are all skills. I mean, skills in PowerPoint, Word, whatever. You can download a free version and start working in that. And get those skill sets up if you don't have them already. These are all things that honestly, like 2 weeks on the job, I can teach you how to use Excel and Word, enough to get by, right? So you don't need to really know all that stuff. These ones I think are more important for this particular role. Of course, the communication skills, all those soft skills, but also get familiar with these frameworks if you're going to apply for this particular job. Some of these other things, these are just nice to have, right? They're even telling you that. These are a strong plus for you to have these. But again, it's an entry-level role. You don't really need that. Now, the other thing you'll notice on LinkedIn is these companies will say entry-level, and they'll want 27 years experience. They'll want, 87 years with Kubernetes and all this junk. And just honestly apply for it. The worst they say is no, but you do want to tailor your resume to pull out some of those keywords from these job descriptions. And don't just spam your resume with keywords, but actually weave them into, so if you worked on a project where you can talk about effective communication skills, weave that in there, weave it into your resume so that you can get a better chance of being surfaced in the results. So since this one keeps showing up, I'm just going to look at this one real quick. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, yeah, so this is not a GRC position whatsoever. This is really product management. So that's what that one is. I don't know why it's still showing in the search results. They probably put GRC somewhere in here. Generous salary usually means they're not paying you very, very well, just FYI. And if it's this many roles open, just FYI at a company, unless they're really big, it's just probably a bad place to live. But you can check it out and look at reviews for that one if you want to. But it's probably not a good place to work usually if there's a ton of openings, unless they're growing right now. Here's another one that claims entry level. Let's see. A lot of these places will just throw a bunch of fluff about their company. You don't care about that right now. You're just trying to look at job descriptions and see if it's something you should even apply for. Because part of your research before an interview is actually looking at the company, find some of their competitors, see what the competitors are doing, and then see what they're doing, especially if they're a startup. And because when you come to the conversation in the interview, you can then say, hey, are you thinking about doing this or that I see one of your competitors is doing? You know, is that a future thing, or is that in discussion or whatever? That shows that you actually want to be there instead of somebody that just wants a job. That shows you actually want to be there. You're thinking outside the box. You're thinking about the competition and how we can win against them. So I'm already, as a hiring manager, I'm thinking of you on the team already because of the way you're carrying yourself and because of the research you did. So again, here, look, key qualifications, minimum 2 years experience, blah, 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 right? That's nice, but this is actually one you can apply for as entry level. Minimum 2 years experience. Reality is somebody with years of experience may not know what the heck they're doing. So if you can show that you know what you're doing with some projects, that can help you get the interview. Not guaranteed, but it can definitely help you get the interview, especially if you're posting about the projects on LinkedIn and building your personal brand. So again, here, look, PCI DSS, SOC 1, SOC 2, ISO 27000 series, etc. So all the common ones out there, if you really just grab a framework, you know, SOC 1, SOC 2 compliance, grab that, apply that to a project, then take ISO, you know, 27002 or something like that, take that, apply it to a project, take NIST cybersecurity framework, apply that to a project, you know, et cetera, HIPAA, apply to a project, PCI DSS, apply to a project. Then you're showing the employer already that you can take those frameworks and apply them to a use case, because that's what this job's going to be. You're going to be working with their clients and trying to help those clients become more secure and audit those clients, et cetera. So if you can show that through projects, it's the same way as if you were trying to get a job in networking, if you want to be a network engineer. If you can show me that you've done some home labs with Cisco and stuff like that, I can say, okay, cool. I know you can come on the job and do that stuff. And maybe you need a little bit of help, you need some mentoring or whatever, but I know you can at least do it. That helps me as a hiring manager sift through all the thousands of resumes that I don't really care to look at. If I know that you on LinkedIn have been posting about going through these different frameworks and applying them to different projects, and I can see that, I'm actually probably going to, before this job's even posted, I'm probably going to reach out to you on LinkedIn and say, hey, I've got this job open. Are you interested in that? Other thing that you have to get over if you're a perfectionist is a lot of these job descriptions will have typos. So if you see right here, have instead of must have. So just keep that in mind. You just have to let that roll over your shoulder and stay focused on what you're doing. But that's a high level overview of how to search for entry level cybersecurity jobs on LinkedIn. Again, just dig through the job description, see what the minimum things they're looking for are, and then really anything like this one here, the 2 years experience, anything like 2 to 3 years experience or less, that usually means they're going to be open to entry level if you can show that you really belong there, that you really are passionate about this, that you've done some projects around it, so you have an idea of what's going on. So day one, I can actually put you with a client and someone more experienced at the company. I can put you two together, put you with a client, and you're not going to make a jerk out of yourself or the company. You're going to have an idea of what's going on. That's so critical as a hiring manager, because a resume doesn't tell me anything. It really doesn't. But on that same note, with resumes, make sure that you're pulling out some of these keywords. So for example, if you do some projects around PCI DSS, make sure that's on your resume at the top of your resume. I've built a project around, I use PCI DSS to analyze security at a hospital, right? Things at the top of your resume. You want to capture them in that first third of your resume at the top. So that's what I recommend for that. So with your resume, pull from the job description. It's going to help you get past those ATS filters and help you show higher in the search results usually. And then from there, it's just a matter of you winning at the interview, which I recommend a software called interviewready.com. And a lot of our CyberLife students are using that with great success. Most of them are getting double what they were thinking on the job offer, the base salaries. They're getting a lot higher job offers on compensation and stuff. So just something to keep in mind there.